Hello, uglies. I'm still working on my Boulet impression. Maybe I'll have it for season 5.
Ugly? Maybe. Who you calling ugly?
Not you. Not
That's
you.
what I thought.
Not you. Well, hello, uglies, and welcome to The Cup, the currently unnamed podcast where the tea is always piping hot and we are ready to spell. I'm Logan Murphy, still without a creative introduction.
And I'm Natalia, the other version of Nathan. I'm a little ditzy, a little here, a little fun. Just a normal girl on a Friday night.
Just a normal girl in a normal world.
What can I say?
And Natalia, what's in the cup tonight?
So I've got a lot of liquor in my cabinet. And I've just been throwing stuff together. So right now we've got some strawberry vodka with some ginger ale, a little grenadine.
Yes.
And then, this isn't going to be the only one tonight. So we'll see what happens.
That sounds so good.
Oh, it's pretty good, not gonna lie. I'm a good bartender.
I've got maybe the exact opposite of that. I've got coffee as usual because I feel like every video we've done so far, I just have coffee, which is fine. Maybe I'll change it up to the next video.
Maybe that's your intro.
It is my staple. What, a coffee obsessed homosexual? That's all of them.
As a former barista,
but
I understand.
Well, I drink hot coffee when I'm home. I know, sacrilege, I'm aware. But it's just because I can't make iced coffee properly at home. I've never been able to, so I just don't try. But currently it is a good old Folgers brew with, I've phased out of my pumpkin spice moment for now that it is December and I'm in my peppermint mocha era. So it's peppermint mocha and a little bit of oat milk as always because we love lactose destroying my body.
I was gonna guess peppermint. You just give me peppermint vibes.
It's always peppermint mocha, only for December, and then January I go back to my normal hazelnut vanilla combo.
Okay, so a French vanilla.
Absolutely. But we're not here to talk about what's in our cup. We are here to talk about what's in the cup. And what's in the cup tonight is Dragula, The Last Supper. We're going to talk about it. And the entire season, because this is the first Dragula video we've been able to make. But yes, The Last Supper happened. If you're not watching Dragula season 4, then go do it. Because we'll see how the finale goes, but I would say one of the best, if not the best season of Dragula.
Okay. I would say for me right now, it stands second on because there's only 4 seasons. It's definitely the second on the list. For me, it's going to be hard to top season 2. What, if you can reach a season 2 level, and we'll see what happens in the finale, of course. But yeah,
I think I'm there with you as well. I think that's also where I currently am putting it. We'll see what happens with the finalists, and we'll talk about the finalists. But before we dive into everything, make sure you're following us everywhere, especially at TheCUPReality for all of our updates. That's where you're going to get the most up-to-date information. Follow both of us individually, and links are available for us, for the podcast, and for our other lovely co-hosts in the description below. So make sure to check that out. And Natalia, your thoughts overall on The Last Supper?
It was very entertaining, honestly. I feel like a lot of the story that may have been missed throughout the season got covered in The Last Supper. So I really appreciated that. And I know we'll get into probably that in a little bit more detail later. I liked, there were things I liked and things I didn't like. One of my biggest complaints is I love it when the queens get to say who they think is going to win the season. And we didn't get that this year.
Yeah.
It was like one of those things where I was like, because I feel like a perfect example, season 2, when everyone said either Bitch Pudding or Victoria Elizabeth Black, even though James Majesty had one of the better track records. And like, I was very like, I wanted to hear that because I do think that does sway the Boulet's decision in just a little bit. And we didn't get to hear that. So it's very interesting.
I have a theory, and I'll touch on it now and I'll talk more about it later. I think the Boulets, regardless of how the finale goes, I think the Boulets have already decided who they're going to pick to win. That's all I'm going to say about it for the moment, but that's kind of the impression that I'm getting. And we'll talk about it, obviously, now that we have our finalists. I will agree with you. I think this was a good Last Supper. I don't think it's the best we've ever had, and I don't think it's the worst we've ever had.
I feel like it was the realest, less produced. Like, I feel like that was like the contestants were the most real, but I do agree.
Yeah. Miss, we won't mention her name, Shame, was not here. Therefore, it's better than that Last Supper for me personally. This Killboy. But, oh goodness, where do we just start with Mary Cherry? Should we just start there?
Yeah.
So, boy. So Mary obviously was there, and I still, Mary was there in her sandals, dressed up as Jesus. Yeah. I will say, okay, no, that's shady. Here's what I'll say. I actually came out of this Last Supper having more of an appreciation for Mary. I still think this is the wrong show for her to be on, but I have more of an appreciation for Mary.
So I can agree with the wrong show, but I don't think there's a show that's been made that she should be on yet. I feel like Mary is truthfully, like, she's a star in her own way. One thing I do love about this finale or this Last Supper that like really highlighted Mary is like, it showed like I said, it showed a lot of things that we didn't get to see. Like, it showed a lot more of like the Sigourney Mary conflict, which I really appreciated. And like, truthfully, like, I feel like everyone did support Sigourney. Like, everyone was supporting Sigourney, but I feel like Mary did have some very justified feelings, and I feel like she
absolutely.
I feel like there was a lot of things that Mary was facing on the show that like we didn't get to see that was edited. And I feel like the Last Supper really touched on a lot of the like heart Mary does have versus just being a big personality. And so I appreciated that.
Yeah, I think honestly, like the big topic obviously was the Monsters of Rock debacle. And the situation surrounding this where we hear multiple opinions that we really hadn't heard prior. We hear Astrid chiming in, even though she had been eliminated. We will talk about Miss Astrid because there's a lot there. And I have a lot to say. But Astrid especially chiming in, being like, well, I went with this whole group of the Zenith, I think was their band name. Yeah. Was that it? Something like that. I went with the Zenith group, and the only person there was Sigourney. So I feel like a lot of the opinion that was given in the who should go home and why from the Zenith team was maybe amplified a little bit by, not necessarily by Astrid, but by the situation there. We come to find out that we come to find out that while Sigourney was out getting extra fabric, as she said, the rest of the group was rehearsing, which we never heard anything about.
And that's where it got a little shady on Sigourney's part. And like, don't get me wrong, I love Sigourney. She's a phenomenal queen, but I feel like she did, and even though this could be a very controversial opinion, I feel like it was a good way for her to finally kind of figure out a way to sabotage Mary. Like, she knew what she could do to get in with another team of extremely strong personalities and performers. I mean, it was very clear in the episode they were going to win. They like it, not only from the way it was edited, from the way, like, we knew they were going to be the winning team. But what we didn't know was the question of who should go home tonight and why was going to be that episode. Because it could have been Nosferatu. It could have been Wild Country Wit. Like, it could have been anything else. I feel like the one thing I wished was Sigourney owning up to that mistake a little bit more.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I wish, because it did throw Mary under the bus. And, like, Mary received a lot of hate throughout this show. Like, a lot of hate, not just from the queens on the show, but like.
And I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think Sigourney has openly acknowledged that either, which I don't think is right. I will say I also love Sigourney. I think the person that looked the worst coming out of this Last Supper was Sigourney. Because I watched this with my roommate, who is also a huge fan of Sigourney, and we kind of just, this whole thing was going on, and we kind of just looked at each other and we were like, so Mary's right. Like, that's kind of just the vibe I was getting. Like, oh, in this scenario, Mary was right. Now, in other scenarios where, like, I want to also touch on, like, the walk-in moment into the sex horror dungeon that they started the season in, where Mary and then also Bitter, to an extent, both had their feelings about Sigourney, and Sigourney commenting specifically to Bitter, like, I didn't feel like I needed to, like, be buddy with you because I knew you coming into this because you're from Chicago. So, like, it's so much.
I think Coco said it best. Sigourney came in with her eyes on the prize, and that was it. She wanted that crown, and she's still going for the crown. Do I think... How do I say this? I think the fans are upset with Mary and Bitter in the sense that they were trying to break down the wall of getting to know Sigourney better, but maybe not doing it in the way Sigourney's comfortable with. I feel like, and Sigourney, keep in mind, Sigourney and Mary were both going through a lot of trauma during the filming of this show, with both of them losing very close people to them. And so, like, I completely feel for both of them on that level. I just think over time, Sigourney's walls only came down for the people, but it just took forever. Like Zavaleta said, I got to know Sigourney after consistently getting to, like, try to know her, whereas Bitter was like, you just put up a wall. And so I think Sigourney's just very guarded naturally, and, like, I appreciate that because I'm a naturally guarded person as well. I just wish she would own up and acknowledge the fact that Mary was thrown under the bus. Yes, it's a competition, but, like, there is still a level of extent. Like, you cannot say she didn't try. We got, like, the bigger picture of, like, Mary was like, what can I do to help you, like, backstage? Like, how can I help you make this costume? And I get it, like, Mary doesn't know how to sew, but, like, sometimes that moral support of just being there, like, shows that, like, she's trying.
I completely forgot to introduce this episode as Coco Kane's Dragula, by the way, because the star of the season, the Miscongeniality fan favorite, if there was gonna be one, The winner of Resurrection 2 when they do it, because I feel that coming.
And don't you worry, I'll be in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'll help her. I will be there. Be like, Coco, whatever you need. You need a lip, I got it. You need an extra nail, I will go steal one off of it. Like, Coco, I'm here for you. Another Oklahoma queen to Oklahoma. Yes, absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, I love Coco. And I loved Coco coming to... Oh, God.
You go.
I was going to say, I just love Coco coming to the defense of Sigourney. In the same way that, honestly, I really appreciated Bitter coming to the defense of Mary. Like, I appreciate seeing the outside perspective on both of these things. I don't necessarily think any of those 4 people came out of this reunion looking good except for Coco. But yeah, I love Coco.
Yeah, I think Coco, if the Boulets ever need like any sort of person to host any sort of show for them or host any sort of portion of a show, Coco better be their first contact. Like, at first I was like, oh, it's going to be Disasterina. Disasterina's going to be their person. And now in my mind, I'm like, Coco just like, she showed why she deserves to be, like, why she got cast, why she deserves to go back, why she's an all-star, how eloquent she can speak. She turns like she does it all.
And I don't think the Boulets truly understood how big of a fan she would be when the season ran. Because I think if I mean, there's always rigging in reality competition shows. We know that to be true. If they had recognized the amount of fan favorite potential that Coco had, I don't think she would have been eliminated episode 3.
You want to know what would have happened? Because I think about episode 3 a lot. I think instead of having Saint in the bottom, they would have put Jade in the bottom. And I think Jade would have gone home. And then I think Coco survives until Monsters of Rock. And depending on which team she gets put on, because they could have put her on either. She was very much a wild card throughout majority of the competition. I could have seen her being put on Zenith and then moving Zavaleta over to the other team. All conspiracy, of course. But like...
Of course, yeah.
I think Coco will definitely make a reappearance, and it will like... And it's going to be justified. They're going to, I don't want to say fix the mistake they made by sending her home that early, but fix the mistake they made by sending her home that early.
I definitely think, there's a couple different scenarios. I think let's just dive into episode 3 for a second, because it really did frustrate me the way that they kind of said, oh, well, we need Jade because she needs to continue the storyline of her redeeming herself from that other reality show.
Yeah.
I also love, side note, not a single mention of Drag Race by name ever. And I love it.
I thought it was like copyrighted or something, because I was like...
It might be.
Or maybe even like mentioning the name gives them the potential liability for suing. Something along those lines, like your defamation could have been like the main cause behind it. But no, I thought that was very... They would always just say the other drag show.
Not even that other reality show, I think, was the term that Jade specifically used. And then when the Boulets were talking about that other show, like, I think it was Swan that was like that other show, something along those lines. But obviously, like, back to episode 3, they had to keep Jade because they needed to redeem her. And I think she got it. I think she got her. We'll talk about Jade. But they had to keep Jade. They had to keep Mary because Mary, I'm still convinced Mary had some sort of blackmail against the Boulets. She didn't want to die. She didn't want to die in the Wild West. She wanted to die getting choked out by some big hairy thighs. So they had to keep her one more episode. They couldn't eliminate Saint because she had just won Resurrection, and she can't go home third again.
No.
And everyone else did good in the challenge. So
Yeah, I would honestly, like, the only one I kind of disagreed with in that episode, not to bash this person again, but Sigourney, because I like felt like we had seen her outfit multiple times in a different rendition at that point. And granted, they called her out
yeah.
on that later in the season with Glamour.
Hmm.
But that was like the third time of seeing something that was very much that. Um, yeah, no, I agree. Like
Big
Coco
hips,
was
big
eliminated by
tits.
default.
Yeah. Pretty
Coco was eliminated
much.
by
That's,
default.
you know what? That's the conclusion we have reached here on the Cup. Coco was eliminated by default. No, I genuinely, I kind of want to talk about the possibility of a resurrection too.
Yeah.
Not that this is like confirmed or anything. We know season 5 is confirmed, which I'm very excited about. We got that confirmation last week, which not surprising, but very happy. They're going to be back on Shudder, which I think will only do good things for them. But a resurrection too.
Yeah. Going back to the Shudder
Who
comment.
do you want to see?
Well, obviously Coco Kane is like on that list for me. If she's
Duh.
not on Resurrection, I don't want it.
Duh.
Honestly, and this is just me, I don't think anyone that's been in the finale of Dragula should get the opportunity on Resurrection just yet. And here's the reason.
Agree.
When you look at the first Resurrection, they clocked Victoria Elizabeth Black for being too all-star perfect material, yada, yada, yada. No. Put people on the show that need a little bit of a redemption. Put someone on there like Yovska, who got eliminated in an episode that they really just shouldn't have been eliminated. Put someone like on Coco, who gets eliminated by default. Like, so I think for me, I would want to see Coco, Yovska. I'll go for season 4 first. I would like to see Zavaleta.
Mhm.
I would like to see Coco.
Yep.
I would like to see Astrid. I would pick those 3 from season 4. Season 3, I would like to see someone like Yovska. Eva Destruction.
Mhm.
Which I think if Eva Destruction comes back, Eva's going to destroy.
Yeah.
I want to see Kendronix again because I just love her.
Right? Me too!
I'm trying to think for season 2. We would probably see someone like Disasterina.
Mm-hmm.
And then my number 1 pick for season 1, nobody's really going to expect it. I want to see Foxy Ajoué back.
Oh, please. Yes.
She was so underrated. Like, she was so unique. Like, I loved her. And I don't think she should have gone home when she did either. So.
Yeah. I'm trying to do my list, and there's just too many. Okay, no. Actually, here's what we're going to do. Okay, I'm writing it out because I do better with this kind of thing. Okay, yes, and
wait, how many are we assuming in the resurrection?
Okay, so here's what I've done. I've done 8.
Okay.
With 1 slot being potentially 3 different people. I'll explain. So okay. I made it easier on myself, and I did 2 from every season.
Okay.
Because I think that feels correct in my mind for some reason. So I did from season 1. I just think seeing Melissa be fierce in a modern Dragula format would either be so fierce or she would do horribly, and I would want to see either. Because I love Melissa, one of my absolute favorites across the board. I think if there was a queen to do Dragula to Drag Race, I think Melissa is the queen to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought about Foxy. I said Xochi Mochi from season 1 because. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, mm-hmm. I love Xochi. Yeah.
Xochi, and also their death is one of my favorites ever.
The liquid liner.
Yep, the liquid liner. Just the liquid liner. Season 2, I said Kendra. and I said Disastrina, because those were my two favorites from season 2, besides Bitch. I have a special place in my heart for both of them. Season 3 is where it gets interesting. I said Maxi Glamour because I think Maxi, more than any other Dragula contestant, deserves a redemption. Now that Saint has had theirs, I think Maxi is the other one because Maxi was not appreciated on season 3 at all.
No, I honestly sometimes forget Maxi was on season 3. I will say one of the most iconic deaths, the only one that like actually made me jump, like the special effects for that were phenomenal. Yeah,
I think the two that made me jump were Maxi and then Coco, because I just wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
Now the other season 3. I know.
You know my conspiracy about Coco's death. She didn't actually die. They just threw some pig up there, and Coco's still hiding in the wings.
Coco's gonna appear in a Wild West look on season 5. Conspiracy theory. If Coco goes off social media, then we know why. But okay, so the other season 3 spot is the one where I have 3 different people, and I think each one of them, A, would bring the entertainment value, and B, would do very well and probably win. And I have it split between Madeline Hatter, Eva Destruction, and Louisiana Purchase.
That's like, yes. Yeah. I see exactly where you're coming from with that.
If it was based on just my personal love, like who do I love out of these 3 the most, Louisiana would be the number 1 pick on my list. But realistically thinking about, especially the growth since season 3 of Dragula, I think any one of them easily could fit that. Or maybe I'd make it a 10-person resurrection season and put all 3 of them.
Yeah, I could see that.
Not saying that I don't love Eva and Madeline, because I do. I think Madeline would provide the drama, and I think Eva and Louisiana would provide the good drag.
No, I could see that. I'm gonna change mine to your format then of choosing 2 from each. So I'm gonna pick 1 more person, and then I'll do my list.
And then my season 4 is Coco and Astrid.
Okay.
I mean, Astrid won a challenge. Coco is my favorite. Coco is honestly coming for my number 1 favorite Dragula contestant of all time spot. She is right there below Kendra Onyx for me. She's right there below Kendra. But yeah, okay. So your modified list. I love that we've done this tangent mid-episode.
Yes, of course. So I made my list. So I chose 2 from each. It's going to sound a little bit different, but like I'll explain why, because now that I have a little bit more time to think on it. So for season 1, originally I had Meatball and Foxy Ajoué. However, after thinking about it for a long time, Meatball does not need Dragula. Like, Meatball has become very prevalent in the drag community outside of this show. So I would change it to Foxy and Xochitl. Foxy for more of a redemption and more of an appreciation for her. And then Xochitl because she was legit terrifying. Season 2, I would choose Disasterina because she's just so fucking entertaining. And you want to know who I think would give us one of the best redemptions from season 2? Erica
Is it going to be the person I almost put Erica on my list. I was this close because, oh my God, Erica is my number 3 favorite Dragula contestant of all time. It's Kendra, Coco, and Erica. Like, those are my 3 favorites. And like, but I also feel like if Erica were to come back, I don't know if she would be appreciated again, because she was not appreciated on season 2 for what she brought. And then her drag daughter went on fucking Drag Race and also didn't get appreciated.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
So appreciate the House of Clash. Thank you.
Yeah.
But no, I love Erica. Absolutely.
Me too. the one big complaint I had about like them judging Erica is they kept saying we're seeing the same face from you. But then I look at a lot of the other queens in future seasons, and like one of my absolute favorite queens, but does like a very similar face every week, is Dolly. Like Dolly, you know kind of how Dolly is going to paint their face. And don't get me wrong, we'll talk about who our pick is to win Dragula, because Dolly's definitely up there for me. But you've got to be consistent on the judging. I think that's the biggest complaint I have with Dragula, is the consistency across judging is not fair. And then for season 3, after reconsidering it, so Madeline Hatter was probably my favorite from season 3. Just from her iconic moment of, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Are you fucking kidding me?
That moment, like, that is when Madeline stole my heart. And then basically saying, "I don't need this, y'all need me." Like, I live for Madeline. And like her getting to know her story was so good because they had such heartwarming moments with her. And then Louisiana Purchase is my other one. I loved seeing Louisiana's growth throughout season 3. My only thing is I don't think she would do very well on Resurrection. And the only reason I say that is like her look is what needed to diversify. Like if they're wanting to judge based on like different looks, like we didn't really get to see a scary side of Louisiana. I mean, her nurse look was like it was meant to be scary. It was beautiful, but like it didn't incorporate. Like I think she would struggle the most fitting the 3 categories. And then for season 4, I had the same as you. I had Coco and Astrid. Coco because she's a fan favorite, and Astrid, not saying she needs a redemption, but I also don't think she should have gone home when she did. So,
I mean, yes. The other person. So I guess my honorable mentions, because I'm gonna do that because I want to, would be Foxy, and then I just want to see more from Formaldehyde. Like, really, I want to see more. Because that clown look in episode 8 during the extermination, that was everything for me. It was the second best look behind Coco in that extermination.
Yeah, I think with Formelda, I think when she gets experience performing, I feel like that's going to translate a lot more. I think she's going to get bookings, like, no matter what. Like, I don't think she's just going to be an Instagram queen anymore, or even classified as that. But I do think, like, you can work on performance, like Coco said, but it also does take a little bit of star quality to even start. And I feel like Formelda just didn't give that. Now, I have something really funny, and we'll obviously get to talk about this in the season 14 drag race moment. Willow Pill's arcade look with them Club Kid boots. And then I think of Formelda, and I'm like, Willow
we will
to put those on.
We will talk about the Club Kid boots. I assume this video is coming out before our season 14 review. Breaking the Fourth Wall, we haven't decided which one's coming out first. So it might already be out. I'm not sure. But yeah, go check out our season 14 review when it comes out, because that'll be fun. Yes, I love that we have taken our time to talk about Resurrection 2.
The cup.
My fault.
Is what it is.
But I mean, basically, we didn't have a set plan going into this.
A video idea for Resurrection. When they announce a Resurrection, we make our own lists and see who gets the most. We do like our own little like mini.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely. I'd love to do that also for like All-Star 7.
Yeah, because I've already got some ideas for who I think will be on All-Star 7, but I have no clue.
I've heard some things, but I have my own list, so
that's fair. I'm yeah. Anyway, Dragula.
Dragula, Last Supper. So we talked about Mary. Yeah, no, I think closing the Mary chapter, because we never really did. I think Mary is talented. Mary is charismatic. Mary is a great drag queen. there just isn't a show, like you said, I think you put it best. There's just not a show that fits what Mary does.
You want to know what show it is? Because I kind of thought about it. It would be Camp Wanakiki.
I thought the same thing.
Like a bigger production version of Camp Wanakiki. Like if it was like on like a TV show platform, had like the services, the videography, I think she would excel at one of those shows. Minus her jokes. Her jokes are terrible.
Oh God. I don't even want to dive into that. Also, going back to Louisiana for a second, if Louisiana's partner can be a finalist on Camp Wanakiki, then Louisiana Purchase can be a finalist on Dragula. But I don't think her partner should have been a finalist on Camp Wanakiki. Maybe that's a video we need to do at some point, because
we start doing the Camp Wanakiki. I actually haven't seen them. I know one of the winners, but I haven't seen the show.
Which winner?
Alexis Bevels.
Alexis P. Bevels.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes. I love Alexis. I am also a huge fan of Chicago Drag, so In My Homosexual Opinion is one of my favorite YouTube shows. Not sponsored, but go follow them because they're fabulous. I love all of them. But yeah, I think Mary would be interesting on Camp Wanakiki. That's where I'm gonna leave it. Would be interesting. Oh boy. Where do you want to go next, Natalia?
I think after that they did Zavaleta, didn't they?
I think so. We got a good appreciation for Zava.
Yeah, which one thing I want to talk about for Zava, her audition video of what we got to see, hilarious. I wish we got more of that Zavaleta on the show. I feel like she was very guarded on the show and felt like she had to be this strong and very vocal person. And I appreciate a strong vocal queen, but I also loved the moments on the show where Zava broke down and where Zava gave us more of that human aspect, and she wasn't doing it for the camera. I appreciated a lot of it.
Absolutely. I will say one of my favorite moments of the season, and it's been memed and I really appreciate it, is the gay.
That is a funny moment.
So good. I'm going to stand behind the fact. You know what? I'm also going to say it. Zavaleta was also eliminated by default. I said it.
The most beautiful extermination. The most beautiful.
Oh my God. The entire time I sat on my couch just jaw dropped. Amazing.
You want to know, and we're just going to go on a little tangent. Extra Sisters is an episode, the worst episode of the season. Zavaleta as a performer in that episode did not deserve the bottom compared to where
the winner.
Other people.
The winner.
Yeah,
the winner.
And don't get me wrong, Zava's biggest weakness in the entire competition was something happening to her during Runway. Episode 1, why was she in the bottom? She couldn't pump blood through her body. The episode, her wings broke off. And the thing I appreciate, she tried to tell a story out of it, but no one was listening to that story. I saw what she was trying to do. It was beautiful, but they ain't gonna give her credit for that.
Yeah. No. She is just a good performer. She's just a good performer. I think she's someone that could come back on a Resurrection, on an All Stars, and just absolutely demolish the competition.
I just wonder if they're going to do an All Star season first, or if they're going to do a Resurrection first. Because that's where I'm just kind of they're at the point where season 5, great, it's been announced. It hasn't been announced though if it's going to be an All Star season or just a regular one. So we don't know. It could be either. But
I think what I would love is a resurrection that was maybe like 3 or 4 episodes. Because I think that fits. I think that would fit the Dragula mold a little bit better. I really loved what they did with the first resurrection, and the fact that they were even able to do resurrection in the times of the Panda Express. Mm-hmm. But like, and it's very unique. It is going to be looked at when you look at Dragula history. Like, that moment is going to be looked at years down the line. But I would love if it was like 8 queens, maybe 4 episodes, and like multiple eliminations that are going to gag you every episode. Or they do something similar to another rumored reality show format that's coming up soon. I won't say which one, but you know which one, where it's a point system. Mm-hmm. And you just keep all 8 of them for 4 episodes and do several. They would have to be like 2-hour episodes each, which again, I wouldn't be mad at. But like do multiple floor show things in each episode.
Yeah.
I will say, do something like that.
With Resurrection, while I loved it, it was beautiful, it was long as hell. Like, mm-hmm. And I was just kind of like, okay, like, I appreciate all this drag, like, it's beautiful. And you're getting into some of their stories you didn't get to touch on in the season. Like, I do appreciate that. But, mm-hmm. like, if you're going to make a 2.5-hour long episode and still also leave us on a cliffhanger, I'm not going to appreciate that.
Yeah.
Even though, like, I knew exactly what was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It was very long. I do agree. If they broke it up into episodes, even if they did 90-minute episodes, I would be happier. But 2.5 hours mm-hmm. is like, that's pushing it.
I watched it in 3 chunks, if I'm honest. Okay. Like, I broke it up. I was like, I had to. I literally did it by floor show. I was like, I'm gonna do the main chunk, the ghost, and then the vampire, or whatever the fuck it was. Ghost, demon, whatever fucking shit it was.
It was like Apocalypse, right?
No, it was like you have to do a ghost look, and then you have to do like 2 other looks based. There was a vampire, and then there was something else.
Oh, I'm looking it up.
What did Saint do? What were Saint's looks? Because it was the iconic ghost look, the vampire. I remember someone doing like a creepy swamp thing.
No, I remember the swamp too because it was a witch. It was a witch look.
Witch. Yeah, because Saint and Kendra both did like African shaman witch things. Yeah, that's what it was. Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. But yes, going back to it, Zavaleta, phenomenal mm-hmm. queen. Even though I don't know where Zavaleta, like, truthfully eliminated by default. They had their final. It's kind of sad because I feel like from the beginning you knew who the final 4 were gonna be. It was just kind of
by episode 2 I had a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just kind of like you're waiting to see who gets eliminated. And
yeah.
That's one thing I didn't like.
Yeah.
I will say in the final 4, I still don't have a guarantee on who's going to win. So I do it's a strong final 4. I mean, I have my pick, but mm-hmm. yeah.
I have a thought. We'll get there shortly. I have a thought as to what's going to happen. But let's see. Formelda got almost no screen time, but then Swan was like, "Why did you wear those goddamn Club Kid boots?" And then they reveal that their other shoes fully broke. And now I want to know what the shoes were. What were these other shoes?
And how could you
would they have improved the look?
Mm-hmm. That's fair, because in my mind I'm like, yeah, some different shoes would have been great. The look from the face up, amazing. That was terrifying. I got the reference instantly. So when the judges were like, I don't get the reference, I was like, bitch, are you dumb? That was a clear reference. There were some references I did not get. And so me to get that one, anyways. The boots, yes, and then the fact that she was like, they broke, and I just loved everyone coming for her neck and being like, well, Mary wore these slippers on.
Literally. Yeah. Like, okay, here's my question to the Boulets. What's wrong with a Club Kid boot? It's Dragula. Like...
And what's funny is that's their only complaint, if you've noticed. It's only those Club Kid boots.
Literally. Well, no, her performance was also a little small.
No, but I'm saying, like, in fashion, like, their only complaint has been Club Kid boots. And I'm just kind of like, you know, to me, there are some bigger things to complain about. But no, her performance was small.
Yeah.
I thought she was going to be in the bottom for performance. Yeah.
I'm still just pissed that the two originally casted Arizona Queens went out back to back. I'm still pissed about it.
Yeah. I will say, though, that what was I gonna say? The Reddit spoilers, not very accurate for Dragula, though.
Uh-huh.
That is something I noticed pretty quickly, because, like, I will check the spoilers when I want to. Like, in the spoilers, Formelda did not go home first.
No, it was,
it may have been Astrid. Oh.
Oh, no.
There you are.
Hi, I'm back.
Hey. No, I think it may have been Astrid.
I think so.
It was like, they were pretty close on, like, the bottom three. Like, they knew the order of that, or they knew, like, those were the three to go home. No, it was Mary.
Mm-hmm.
Mary was supposed to go home first, and
then
it was
Mary,
Formelda.
And then it was
Mary, Formelda, Astrid, Coco, and then I think it was Bitter than Jade, and then they got it towards the end.
They got the top 7. I remember they got the top 7. Because I remember being...
Oh, you go.
Mm-hmm, go ahead.
I was going to say, they also were terrible at predicting who won what challenge.
Which just goes to show the again, that Dragula production, a little bit better than Drag Race.
Yeah, they know how to keep things under wrap.
Because, like, I'll break the fourth wall here. I know every single damn thing that's about to happen on season 14. And it's gonna be right. So...
No, that's fair.
Nah. But...
I was going to say, they predicted Hoso to have 3 wins. They predicted Sigourney to have 2. They predicted Saint to have 2. And they predicted Dolly to have 1.
Dolly, 1.
Yeah. And now, like, Hoso has 2, so they were off by 1. Dolly has 2, and so they were off by... You've already got it pulled up? Exactly. Like,
I made a graphic.
Yeah, like, this chart right here, when I look at it, it, like, I think I know who wins, but we'll see.
Yeah, I figured I'd come in with a graphic because I didn't have a slideshow this episode. So, but I just wanted to have the visual of, like, track record, because if this is going to come down to track record, which I feel like it might,
we see who the winner is.
We absolutely see who the winner is based on track record. But honestly, they're in order. They're in alphabetical order, but they're also in order by track record. Funny enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we can pop that back up later, but I just figured that would be cute to bring up at this point. Let's see. Going by elimination order, Astrid was still just like, why the fuck was I eliminated? And I kind of agree.
Well, I thought one thing that was really interesting about Astrid is, like, she mentioned the part where, like, a lot of people told her that she was just a filler queen. And I feel like that's not talked enough about in, like, reality competition shows. It's like, there really are casted filler queens. And while Dragula says that they don't cast filler queens, I still seem to find the ones that are going to do well in the season and the ones that aren't going to do well in the season.
I think the interesting thing now that we have 4 seasons of Dragula to look at and a resurrection, because I would honestly say there were a few filler queen casting choices made for resurrection as well. But now that we have basically 5 seasons to look at, I think I can confidently say, similarly to that other reality show, that there are queens that are good at Dragula and not great drag queens, and there are drag artists, and there are drag artists that are great but not great at Dragula.
Yeah.
And I think like the biggest examples for me would be someone like Fermelda, who is a great drag artist, just not necessarily in the context of this competition. People like Kendra, because Kendra always struggled. As much as I love her, Kendra always struggled in season 2. I think Resurrection, she came back, and for me, I think she was the 3rd best. In my opinion.
She was 3rd or 4th for me. Like, I knew she was up there. I just knew she wasn't going to win. If that sounds terrible, watching Resurrection, like, even when they announced the cast for Resurrection, I will say, like, my top was Dolly. I thought Dolly was going to win. And honestly, like, Saint surprised me. And it was a very good surprise, because I'm happy I've gotten to, like, see their growth. But yeah.
Because for me, I would love to do a Resurrection video as well, just because those looks are phenomenal across the board.
Yeah.
But for me, when the cast was announced, I remember thinking, oh, the top 3 is going to be Dolly, Victoria, and Priscilla.
Yeah.
That's immediately who I thought was going to be the top 3. Didn't end up being my top 3. But didn't end up being mine. But yeah, the concept of the filler queen revolutionized, I would say, by the first homosexual Drag Race contestant, Joey J. I agree with you. Joey J. Arizona. Come on, Arizona queens. We need more of you. We have 3 now on Dragula, and we've only had 2 on Drag Race. Excuse me?
We've had
cast
0
Arizona queens. Anyway.
We've had 0 on Drag Race and 1 on Dragula from Oklahoma.
You would think with season 14 being the fucking season of the Midwest that there would have been an Oklahoma queen.
I'm telling you, my drag grandmother would be casted if she was not fucking lazy and actually just submitted an audition tape. Like, she would be a drag, like, she would be on it. And I'm telling you that now. I know she ain't gonna watch this.
I love that.
But Crystal Beth, if you watch this, you would get on Drag Race because she just did the fucking damn thing.
I know Crystal. Well, not like I know her, but like I follow her.
She would go on the show. She would. That. And she's a phenomenal performer.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know. But I love Astrid. Astrid's great.
Astrid's look was so cute too. We didn't even talk about her look.
We didn't even talk about the looks. We didn't even talk about the looks at all.
We'll do a speed round of the looks because we don't have the photos.
I was going to say top 3 because I have my top 3.
You go first then because I don't have mine.
In no particular order, my top 3 were Astrid, Coco, and Jade.
Literally that just side right there, literally the right side. I will say that was the prettiest I think Jade has ever looked. She looked so
on any reality drag competition. That is the best she's ever looked.
I would say my top 3 are Coco and Astrid, and this is going to be controversial to you, but I would say Bitter. I think Bitter looked
Bitter was
really
my honorable
good.
mention. No, okay, again, for people that don't know, I don't accept Bitter Betty as a person because her views are outdated and bullshit to me personally. I cannot say that her drag is not good because her drag is good. And I can respect her as a drag artist, I don't respect her as as her words, transsexual woman. I do not respect her in that regard, but her drag is phenomenal, and I can't deny that. She was my honorable mention. She looked, I think that's the best she looked on the season as well.
Her and Jade, and then we get like, we haven't even talked on that moment of the her and Jade makeup.
Well, we're there because we've talked about everyone else.
That's
so
fair.
It's time to talk about Bitter and Jade.
I will say, so another thing we learned in this situation is Bitter and Mary had a lot of information about the show that I feel like was not aired. And I know it made them, or like, it was not shown until Last Supper. Like, because like they clearly like had confessionals during it that was like, what did Jade say about Sigourney in this situation, and what did Sigourney say in this situation, and like none of that was shown until Jade finally just kind of said, listen, I'm going through it. I've been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. It's a struggle. It's ruined a lot of relationships. And like in that moment, I think that's when Mary and Bitter were like, if we would have known this, like they even said, they're like, if we would have known this, it would have been, the competition would have been very different. Like we would not hold anything against you. Like that was the wholesome moment of the episode for me. Like even though we got the like Mary and Sigourney talking about like all of that, it was the fact that like they were able to squash the beef finally. And don't get me wrong, it was some good drama, but it felt right for it to end there.
Like you said everything I was going to. Genuinely. Like that definitely and like you said, Bitter even said, like, had I known this, I would have been more understanding of what happened. I really, really appreciated Jade. I will say also, Jade is someone I'd love to see come back in some capacity. Because I think this really, like, she was obviously on season 5. And now I don't know if being on Dragula invalidates any chance she would have had to be on a Drag Race All-Stars. I assume it does.
Well, I mean, her contract ended 2 years ago. Do you know about, like, I was about to say, like, I don't think she would have wanted to go back. Like, once her contract ended, with her experience, I don't think she would have gone back.
So I heard, this is speculation. I heard she was like on the short list as an alternate for All Star 6. Like that, I heard that like she was like the first or second alternate.
I think that's because that was right before her contract was supposed to end, because they filmed that. Like, and so they were probably just like, you know what, let's put her on the list so that way if we really need her, we can make her contract restart. And I'm very thankful it didn't. Ultimately, I don't think
because I think it would have been interesting. Well. Here's what I'm going to say. I think on any other All-Stars from 2 to 5, I don't think she would have done well. On 6, though, with the amount of redemption arcs that we got and the fact that the winner of the season ended up being Kylie, I don't know who she would have replaced. It probably would have been Kylie. If you just look at stereotypes, it probably would have been Kylie or like Ginger, maybe. But I think there could have been a universe where if Jade had been in the right headspace, maybe she would have done well. I don't know if she would have. I think she. Oh, go ahead.
I think she would have replaced Pandora, if anyone.
Oh, yeah. I could see that.
Yeah, but like, I mean, I agree with you, but like, I just feel like she talks about like how that experience like really was a harm to her mental health. Like, I
Oh, yeah.
I don't feel like she would have given it what needed to be given. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like she would have
Yeah.
gone on and been like, I want to go home early. Like, I don't want to be here. You're making me be here.
Yeah. I agree. I definitely see that. In a way, I feel like she's like this is basically kind of what she said. Like, she outgrew Drag Race.
And you know what? I appreciate that, and I love to hear that. I wish more queens talked about their experience on Drag Race and like how it shaped. Like, I want to know like why Ivy Winters quit drag. I want to know the real reason. Like, I want to know like why. I want to know the conversations because I want to know like why people support Drag Race so much, knowing that like it does harm a lot of people like in the process. And like as someone who does support Drag
Yeah.
Race, I love to see new queens get their chance and their opportunity because like I mean I want to be on reality television one day. It's amazing to see people get their
Yeah.
fantasy. But
Mhm.
like I also want there to be the truth, you know?
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm pretty sure I don't know the exact cycle. I'm pretty sure season 8 just got out of their contracts. I think is what it is. But yeah, I think season 8 just got out of their contracts. So maybe we'll see more stories come out about that.
Yeah. Let's see. You know who I do want to see back on an all-star season of Drag Race though from season 8? I want to see Acid Betty personally. I loved her chaotic energy for no
We
reason.
can do, I think we can do an All-Star 7 speculation because I'd love to talk about our personal list because I feel like they're going to be wildly different.
Oh no. Season 6 just got out of their contract. Season 7
Oh
will be out in
shit.
March. Or no, season 7 will be out in June.
Wow, okay.
Because it's a 7-year contract.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then if you're on an all-star season, it renews that contract and you start from the 7 years of that all-star season.
Yep.
So
Yep. Well, and I think we'll save the Drag Race conversation for a Drag Race episode. I don't want to saturate this episode with Drag Race because Dragula deserves all of the time it gets. But so I think we've talked about everyone, and then we get the announcement of the final 3.
actually, there's one thing we didn't talk about. Are
What didn't
Astrid
we
and
talk
Hoso
about? I
still
don't remember.
together?
I hope so.
They're cute, honestly. Not gonna lie, like I think they're cute.
They're adorable. Oh, absolutely. This
but
is
no,
also
you're right.
I was gonna say they're never gonna see this. This is my formal request. Hi, Dolly. I see you. You're beautiful. That's all. That's all I'm gonna say about that. They're never gonna see this. But finalists. They announced Dolly. No surprise.
Saw that one. No surprise. Dolly was the one when they won the Killer Clown Challenge. I said, nope, there's no chance you're ever going to eliminate them. They are going to the finals.
Yep. Well, I think they even said you're a finalist.
Yeah. I think they said it and they were just reaffirming it.
Yeah. And then they announced Sigourney, which given the cliffhanger of episode 8, I wasn't surprised. Given the results of the Last Supper, I was surprised.
What I thought they were going to do was announce Dolly and then Saint, and then announce Hoso and make Sigourney just sit there and then announce her. But then they flipped it after Hoso called or talked to Sigourney and was like, "Why did you say that?" And Sigourney was like, "Your professionalism needs to ripen." Like,
That's the other thing we didn't talk about. Yeah, that was a lot.
Yeah,
Oh boy.
that was.
I don't even want to dive into that. But yeah, so they announced Sigourney, which given the cliffhanger we left episode 8 on, I wasn't surprised. And then they announced Saints as the third finalist. And Miss Hoso was sitting alone in the VIP in that moment.
The look on Hoso's face was so sad. Like, I was like,
I literally stood up and I was screaming at my TV, like, okay, now announce Hoso. Okay, now announce Hoso. And then they did.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, thank God. It's a top 4. I think that's just the correct.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, in my mind, I was like, okay, they wouldn't have done this in front of the rest of their competitors. Like, I feel like the Boulets have enough respect to be like, you know what, we're not just going to be like, Hoso, we're exterminating you right here. Just because, like, then you've got all the competitors sitting there.
What would they have done?
Exactly. That's where it causes, like, too much, like, emotional distress, because then it's like,
yeah.
And they ended it with that. If they wouldn't have ended it with that and they did that, like, earlier and allowed Hoso to leave, like, that would have been like a different situation. But I knew when they left it on a cliffhanger, I was like, it's gonna be a Final 4. Like, I was like that or a Final 2.
Yep. And we talked about it off podcast, but yeah, I was like, it's either gonna be a Final 4 or a Final 2. Genuinely so incredibly happy for this Final 4. I think this is the only Dragula season where I can justify a Final 4. I would have loved to see Louisiana Purchase in a finale personally, but I understand why they
won just one challenge. She would have had the same record as Sigourney, basically.
Which back to my good old graphic here. Yeah. So here's the thing. Like we said earlier, these are literally in order by by alphabetical order and also by track record unintentionally. Dolly absolutely has the best track record, with Hoso right behind them, Saint behind them, and Sigourney kind of being the dark horse in this situation. It's going to be really interesting if Sigourney even has a chance. I don't know that she does.
Yeah.
Which upsets me a little bit, but
I'm like, in my mind, I'm just kind of like, Sigourney did good. Honestly, I would have loved to see Sigourney get 4th, purely based on the fact that if Sigourney did go home in that extermination, she would be like a guarantee for an All-Stars or Resurrection, like, knockout. Personally, I don't think she has a chance. I don't. No. Unless her filth and horror looks are the top of the night, I don't think she has a chance.
Yeah. So let's talk about it, since I think we're there. Who do you want to win, and who do you think is going to win?
Okay. I want Daddy Pup J, aka Dolly, to win. I am obsessed with Dolly.
Yeah.
Dolly was my favorite on season 2, right? Like, right behind that was Bitch Pudding. I would move to Phoenix for Dolly. I would do whatever Dolly told me to. I am in love with Dolly in every aspect. I want it. I
love this. Yeah.
But besides that, I think, and here's my conspiracy. Let's see if it pans out this way. I think Saint's gonna win the season.
Oh.
I think Saint is going to win the season based on one fact and one fact alone. When the Boulets asked who was willing to return for the show, Saint was the only person to not say that they would and said, I've been doing this for 3 years. I have grown so much from it. I love this, but I need a break.
Yeah.
And if I don't get this crown, I will not be coming back for a little bit. And I think that would be the full redemption of Saint's story. And towards the end of the season with the editing, they've talked about how they would not mind a quiet winner. How they don't mind someone who's a little bit more laid back. And so while I think I think Dolly deserves to win the season based on track record and overall should have won season 2 if actually shouldn't have been eliminated when they did, but like, you know, they would have made it further.
Yeah.
I think Dolly is who I want to win, but I think Saint's going to win.
Okay. Okay, so I look at it in the context of Xander or Vander. Whoa, I said Xander. I'm thinking Survivor. Vander, Bitch. I'm thinking in the context of Vander, Bitch, and Landon. Who fits with the 3 of them, but also brings something else to the Dragula pantheon of winners?
Yeah.
And I think for me, the best fit would honestly be Sigourney.
Okay.
So that's my answer for that part that I added in. Who I want to win, it's difficult because I would genuinely be happy with any of the 4 of them winning.
Yeah.
I think for me, the person that has stolen my heart the most is Hoso.
Okay.
My conspiracy theory, and this is a widely popular one, is that Saint won Resurrection and they brought Dolly back so Dolly could win the season.
Oh.
So I think it's going to be Dolly. I am under the impression that the only reason they brought Dolly back was so that Dolly could win this season and be a winner. Because otherwise it wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense to bring back Dolly if you weren't going to have Dolly win. And I look back to the fact that Dolly was not brought back until episode 2. So Dolly also got to skip a challenge.
Yeah.
And like, I'm also not saying that they're not deserving, because like you, I am in love with Dolly.
Yeah.
And I would be more than happy. At Arizona winner, phenomenal. Dolly is a winner, phenomenal. I'm on board. I'm on board with any of the 4 of them winning because I think this is the best finalists group overall that Dragula has ever seen. For me, I feel like Hoso would bring something so completely. Hoso's stolen my heart. Sigourney would add something different to the pantheon. Not that anyone else wouldn't. And I think Dolly's going to win. But based on your logic, I could also see Saint winning for the reason that you mentioned.
Yeah, so I think, okay, so if you want to think about the perception of like the winners in previous seasons, when I look at Vander, I think Vander was their horror icon. Could do glamour, could do filth, but was the horror that they wanted. When I think of Bitch, I think Bitch was their filth icon. Bitch could do horror, Bitch could do glamour, but filth, like, to me, my favorite floor show ever was their janitor.
The janitor.
Like, hands down. And then when I think of Landon, I think Landon did do glamour the best.
Drag.
I think.
Oh, I was gonna. I would.
Oh, you think? I mean, yes, Landon did do some of the best drag that show has ever seen, but I think like I look at them and I'm like, what category do they embody the most? And to me, I saw glamour, because while they did filth, while they did horror decently well, I feel like their glamour was like head and shoulders above the rest, which in my mind means Sigourney's not going to win.
Okay.
Because they don't want to have 2 glamour winners back to back.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
But like, if they're gonna restart the cycle of horror, then it's gonna be Hoso. Even though we only
Yes.
truthfully saw like 1 or 2 decent horror looks because the season wasn't focused that much on horror.
Yeah, like I mean, looking back at it, it really wasn't, and that is an interesting thing. It'll be interesting to talk about once we have the finale looks to see like if like because again they could be in any order. I know that in past seasons it's always been filth first, then horror, then glamour, or is it glamour then horror?
Horror, filth, glamour. I think that's the order. Because they do it based on how their introduction goes. Or is it glamour, filth,
then
horror?
It would be drag. Well, if it's by the introduction, then it's drag, filth, horror, and glamour.
Oh, then it is that.
I've always, side note, Boulets, if you're watching, you're not. But Boulets, if you're watching, I've always been upset that they're not in alphabetical order. Drag, filth, glamour, and horror. That's alphabetical.
But that sounds weird.
I don't think so.
I think so. I think maybe it's because I'm used to filth, horror.
Drag, filth, glamour, and horror. Like when I think of like the ending one, I think of like if I'm thinking about Dragula, I think about horror. So that would be the right one, like bookend with drag and horror, but we also have filth and glamour in the middle.
Yeah, but I think that's another reason why they do glamour last is because it's the most unexpected out of the 3.
Sure, that's fair.
Nah, who knows? We're reading too much into it.
We are. Watch all this conspiracy be wrong and like I don't know because we've mentioned all of them. No, Coco Kane comes back and wins the season.
Listen, I wouldn't be mad. Would not be
mad.
I
would not be mad either. Nope.
The same love I have for Dali, I have that love for Coco too.
Same. But yeah, I will say again, I'm genuinely happy with any of them that win. Like, I don't care. I think any of them would be a great Dragula winner. And that's that on that. We have a finale next week, and we'll be back to talk about it.
Yes.
Very excited. So with that, thank you for joining us for our Dragula /Resurrection /Drag Race review. And there's never really a set idea when we're together. It's always just all the things at once.
we literally just were like, but what about this? And this leads to this. And then we talk about this. And then that.
Mid-episode casting Resurrection 2. It's fine. But yes, make sure to follow all of our links links in the description where descriptions are available for you. Make sure to follow both of us because we're great. And with that, we'll be back next week for the finale.
Yes.
So with that, cheers, bitch. My cup is empty, but
mine's all. Here we go.
Not that. Goodbye.